The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions and viewpoints of the staff and management of this station.
Welcome to the wonderful world of seniors, the best of all worlds. You now have the time, resources, and ability to enjoy what you have worked for all your life. So let's explore the many possibilities available to seniors on Senior World Radio. Senior World Radio is your source for senior citizens-related topics, information, and entertainment. Now, here is your host of Senior World Radio, Glenn Howard.
I'm so glad you joined me today on Senior World Radio. We have a lot of fun talking to seniors who are young at heart and twice as smart. As I mentioned over the last few weeks, we are wanting to interview Oklahoma's incredible seniors, people who have had experiences in life that make their stories very, very interesting, but nobody except maybe a few close friends and family ever hear about those wonderful stories. We'd like to interview these people, get their stories, listen to what they have to say, put it together in a radio show and share it with everybody because truly we've got some incredible stories of seniors and their experiences right here in Oklahoma. And I'm wanting to ask you, as our listening audience, to work with me in helping me find these particular people. As I've talked to a few people around the country and mentioned the nature of this show, of course, you know, we've been doing Senior World Radio now for 6 years. And usually we've tried to interview those people that were influential in politics or in some particular area. But we're discovering it's the common people who have really the more interesting stories. And we want to invite our listening audience to help us locate and interview these seniors who have such wonderful stories. So get a pencil and paper. Write this down. It's 877-875-0990. Again, that area code is 877-875-0990. If you'll call me, give me the name of somebody that you think would be an interesting person to interview, has an interesting story, I'll be glad to go out and sit down with them, talk to them, get their story on a recording, bring it back in here to the studio. We'll put it together and make a show out of it because we are finding some wonderful people out there. In fact, I did have an opportunity the other day to go up to the Edmond Senior Community Foundation, met some of the people up there. I took a recorder along with me, and I had a chance to talk to a lady who is working with volunteers, and there are a lot of volunteers who do great work. So after we had our banquet, I had a chance to interview her, sit down and talk to her for a while, and got some information. And so I want to take you up to Edmond to join with me now at that Edmond Senior Community Foundation and get a chance to visit people at the Edmond Senior Community Foundation.
Just a few days ago, they invited everybody in for this luncheon up at Touchmark, a lovely retirement facility. And they had a lady there by the name of Beth Patterson, who was the special guest speaker. Beth was with an organization I had never heard of before. They were called RSVP. And about the only time I'd seen those letters is when I was getting an invitation to something and I was supposed to respond. So I was interested in knowing more about what they were offering. When I heard Beth speak, I was very impressed with her organization and said, gee, I'd love to have you come in and share with us a little bit and tell our people about what RSVP is and what it does, because I think it offers a lot of wonderful things to an awful lot of people. So she agreed. Here she is, Beth Patterson. Beth, welcome to the show. Good to have you today.
Thank you, Glenn.
Appreciate what you had to say the other day. First of all, though, let's begin with what is RSVP of Central Oklahoma?
RSVP is a local nonprofit organization. We've been around for 40 years, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. We're made up of 900 volunteers who are retired that give back to our community, serving over 125 local nonprofit organizations.
A volunteer organization. First of all, how to get started? This sounds like an idea. You know, they're always begging for volunteers, every church, every civic club, every group. But the idea of an organization of volunteers, that's something new. How did this thing get started?
This program got started way back in 1973 when it was recognized that retired people had a lot to give back to the community. They organized RSVP on a national level. We're one of 500 RSVPs nationwide. And really it's easy to get started. You just give us a jingle, 605-3110, or look at our website, which is rsvpokc.org. And let us know that you're interested in volunteering. We'll sit down with you face to face. We'll talk about your interests and your hobbies and your skills and your passion, and hook you up with an organization that needs you and your skills to improve the work that they do in the community.
Okay, somehow when I first heard about you, though, they said something about volunteers providing transportation. What are you talking about? How does that work?
We have a very unique program, one of a kind. We have retired volunteers who drive their own vehicles to provide transportation for our elderly neighbors that are low to middle income who don't drive anymore but need rides to and from their medical appointments. And I'm really pleased to say that our volunteers that need help with the cost of gasoline, we have funding through United Way that allows us to help you with the cost of gasoline. We have insurance coverage for our volunteers, and we have hundreds and hundreds of older people in our community that need just a little bit of help getting to and from their medical appointments. It's a very rewarding assignment.
Beth, I find this very interesting because I know there are a lot of seniors who do not drive. Unfortunately, living in central Oklahoma, transportation is not that good as far as public transportation, and people needing to get to, well, I guess to certainly doctors, something like that. Do you provide also for, I'm thinking of many things, grocery shopping, in addition to doctor's office, everything else, so many needs that people have, and taxi service is kind of expensive for a lot of our seniors. So this is a service that is available to them at what? How much? What does something like this cost?
It's free. It's free.
A free service.
A free service for people over the age of 60 who no longer drive and they need help getting to and from their medical appointments. Glenn, I'm so glad that you brought up the point that there's so much need for our older adults for more than just transportation to and from their medical appointments. And honestly, I wish that RSVP could provide the support. And maybe if we had more volunteer drivers, we would be able to extend in that capacity. But I want to give you just a real short feel for how this works. An older adult will call us. They need a ride for Provide a Ride. We have trained volunteers that will go out to the home of that older individual and visit with them one-on-one to do what's called a face-to-face assessment. After that information is obtained, then you become an official member, an official client of Provide a Ride, and you let us know when your medical appointment is. We would prefer 1 week notice because, of course, we're run by volunteer drivers. And then we find the volunteer driver who lives fairly close to your home, maybe even in your neighborhood, who is willing to pick you up, bring you to your medical appointment, which could be eye or ear or your general physician or a specialist, dental work, anything medically related. They will pick you up at your home, bring you to the medical facility, sit with you and stay with you the whole time. After your appointment, they will swing by the pharmacy, pick up medication if needed. They will swing by the grocery store to get a few items in the grocery store and then bring you back home safe and sound and make sure you're in the house and feeling comfortable before they leave.
I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio, visiting today with Beth Patterson. Beth is Executive Director of RSVP of Central Oklahoma, Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Beth, the idea of providing transportation for seniors who need help like that is exciting. Do you have a large backlog of volunteers doing this, or are you in need of volunteers to help provide these kind of services to seniors?
We absolutely need more volunteer drivers to meet the needs in our community.
You mentioned your website a while ago and your phone number. Tell me a little bit more. If somebody, probably you're dealing with a retired person who has time, they've got a car, they have been fortunate in life. They've been blessed. They are financially not in need. and they're ready to help somebody else. In fact, I was so impressed with your presentation at the banquet the other day, talking about the benefits to volunteering, and I want to get into that just a little bit because there are some real benefits to it. But if somebody says, gee, yeah, I'd like to help somebody, but I really don't know how, talk again about the process of how they would get in touch with you, what kind of certification they've got, what kind of risk, liabilities, and so forth that they are facing to get involved in volunteering for a program like this.
Okay. It's really quite simple. You just have to make the decision that you want to give back to the community, that you want to improve the life of somebody else. And you give us a jingle on the phone, or you get in touch with us via email. Your choice. Our website is www.rsvpokc.org. And our phone number is 605-3110. You just give us a call, share with us that you're interested in giving back to the community, and we will sit down with you and we will decide together what is best for you to give back to the community. We will talk about your hobbies and your desires, your passion, what type of commitment you would like to make, if you want to volunteer 1 day a week or 1 day every 2 weeks. Maybe you want to volunteer twice a week. We talk about all of those things, and we also talk about the needs of the nonprofit communities right there in your neighborhood, so that we can match your skills and your interests with the needs of nonprofit organizations that are helping your neighbors.
Now, Beth, I don't want to sound negative or like a wet blanket, but some people would be rather frightened to do this, because what if I have a car wreck and somebody gets hurt? Am I going to get sued? What are my legal responsibilities? How do you deal with that?
I'm glad you asked that, Glenn. We actually have a supplemental insurance policy on each of our volunteers, so that while you're driving to and from your volunteer assignment and the whole time you're volunteering, should you get hurt or hurt somebody else, we have this supplemental policy that provides the coverage to you at no cost to you. RSVP provides that support.
I believe a lot of our people are going to be interested in doing something like this, Beth. I've never heard of anything like this before. Get a pencil and paper, write down this phone number and the web address. If you've got a little bit of time, you want to really be of help to somebody in a tangible way where you can see the results, give them a call. The phone number again is 605. Of course, now we're talking area code 405. It's here in the central Oklahoma area. But that phone number is 605-3110. Again, let's get that phone number, 605-3110. Or you can go on the web and look it up. It's RSPV, Retired Seniors, or what, Volunteer, did I get that right? Yes, RSVP. I got those two reversed, Volunteer Program. RSVPOKC.org. Beth, we got to take a break for just a moment. We're coming right back. I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio, talking with Beth Patterson, Executive Director of RSVP, Central Oklahoma. We're coming right back, so don't go away.
You're nobody till somebody loves.
Have you ever had a problem, but it seemed like there was no one who could help? You spent hours calling around, being referred from one place to the next. Well, not anymore. I want to tell you about a free and easy-to-use service in Oklahoma. 211 is a simple 3-digit phone number to get help or to give help when you don't know where to turn. Dialing 211 only takes a minute, and you are connected with a caring Oklahoman who will help you find the assistance you've been looking for. With access to over 13,000 programs, Heartline 211 can connect you to local resources for many different needs, including health care, food, counseling, rent assistance, disability assistance, job services, and much more. 211 is a service of Heartline, a United Way partner agency. 211, the right first call to get help or give help 24 hours a day.
Hi, my name's Jason Ledlow, president of UT Phone, the ultimate telephone service. We're proud to be a sponsor of Senior World Radio with Glenn Howard. UT Phone is dedicated to providing Oklahomans affordable telephone service all across our great state. We have Lifeline Home Phone service starting at just $1.95. That's right, just $1.95, and most of Oklahoma's seniors qualify for this reduced home phone service. They get to keep their old home phone number, and it even includes long distance. Another great feature of UT Phone's customers really like is that it includes repair service. That's right, any repairs at no additional charge. With many telephone services charging $40 to $50 per month, it makes sense to switch your service to UT Phone. This service is a federal program that is provided through the Universal Service Fund. There is only one per household, so make it UT Phone's home phone service for $1.95. Give us a call at 800-996-0098. Again, call 800-996-0098.
I've made up my mind.
Welcome back to Senior World Radio. I'm Glenn Howard, visiting today with Beth Patterson. Beth is the Executive Director of RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program of Central Oklahoma. I had the privilege of meeting her the other day at the Edmond Senior Community Foundation Awards Luncheon. They had recognized some people for outstanding work in the Edmond community, and Beth was invited in as a special guest speaker. And Beth, I've got to say, I was really amazed with the kind of things that you're doing. You're talking about volunteering, something that I think is a word that more people ought to learn to use. And what was interesting to me, you were giving some facts about volunteering and talking about volunteering is much more beneficial to the people who are doing the volunteering than it is the people who are receiving it. Tell me about a few of those statistics you were throwing around.
Okay, we know that volunteering improves a person's mental health and their physical health. It increases your...
Longevity was one of them, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry. It increases your longevity by 1 to 3 years. Studies are showing that if you volunteer a minimum of a couple hours a week, that you'll actually live longer, 1 to 3 years longer than a friend or a peer that doesn't volunteer. We also know that it combats depression. Giving back to others in need helps you feel good about yourself. It works with your self-awareness. You just feel so much better when you're giving back to the community and making a difference in somebody else's life.
Some of the notes I made as you were talking about improved health, you actually said that 20% of people who volunteer lose weight on the program. That surprised me.
Yeah, there have been studies done about people who volunteer. And one study, it was a rather large study, indicated that 44% of the people that volunteer actually see improvement in their health over the longevity of their volunteer work, and about 20% of those individuals indicate that they have lost weight while they volunteer.
There's an awful lot of reasons to volunteer. Let's talk about you just a little bit, though. I noticed when they introduced you, they said something about you have a transplant from, is it Minnesota?
Yes, northern Minnesota.
How in the world did you wind up in Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'll be totally frank with you. I wanted to leave the cold winters of Minnesota behind me. So we headed south, and Oklahoma is the place that we stopped and fell in love with the people of Oklahoma. The climate of Oklahoma is gorgeous, but the people are phenomenal. So caring and giving and kind that we just knew that this would be our new home forever.
So then how did you get involved in working with RSVP?
I love working with older adults. They have so much to give back to our community. I learned about a position that was open over 30 years ago with RSVP, and I applied for the position and received it, and fell in love with what I do with RSVP. I started off as the volunteer coordinator and worked my way up to the executive director. There's just nothing like working with people who want to share themselves and share their blessings with others who need them so that their life is improved.
Now, I'm sure as a volunteer organization, you probably are a nonprofit organization. I don't know what your source of funding is, but I'm guessing like most nonprofits, that's always a very important area. There may be some people out there who say, gee, I don't have time to volunteer which I think that's a lie, because I think everybody's got time to volunteer. They should make time. But the idea of driving a car and hauling seniors around various places would be very important. But there's some that might want to just support financially your organization. How would you recommend they do that?
It's very easy to do. If you will go to our website, there's an opportunity to make a contribution there. It has a list of our address, and I assure you that the dollars will be expended to serve the older individuals in our community, to help them remain independent as they age in place.
So RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program of centraloklahoma.org, not .com, it's .org, or that phone number again is 605-3110. You can get involved in volunteering. Beth, you've been director of this program for how many years?
32 years.
32 years. Tell me some stories about some of the people where you've seen volunteering really make a difference in their lives.
Okay, I'll have to think hard. We have so many stories. I remember a gentleman who came into our office, and he was feeling quite discouraged. He really had been planning for his retirement, and he did plan for it financially, but he did not plan for all the leisure time that he would have. You have to remember that you have close to 50 hours every week that you need to fill, that is left void after you retire. And he thought he would fill all that time with fishing and golfing. And after about, I think he said he spent about 9 months, every day of the week, he was either fishing or he was golfing. And after about 9 months, he realized that he just was not feeling fulfilled. He just was not feeling good about himself or his retirement. So he came to us, seeing if we had an opportunity for him to give of himself back to the community that's been so good to him. And we hooked him up, doing some work, volunteer work with kids in the school system. We have a lot of kiddos that are reading below grade level.
So there's not only restrictions of helping seniors, they're working with kids in school, all kind of volunteer work.
All kinds of volunteer work. It can be gardening work, it can be clerical work, it might be answering a suicide hotline for one of our local nonprofit organizations.
So you hooked this guy up with the school program?
I did, and he just fell in love with what he was doing, providing support to one child once a week, allowing the child to speak to him and read to him. And by the end of the school year, this kid's reading level improved enough that he could be graduated to the next grade level.
Interesting.
We have another one. Her name is Billy, and we were promoting the need for volunteers in the community, and Billy heard about it, and she's never been married, she has no children, but she thought maybe I can give back to the community. And it's another tutoring story, but what's really neat about this is Billy tutors every day, she tutors every week at a local elementary school. And just last year, this big young man came up to her in the hallway and said, "Miss Billy?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "I don't know if you remember me, but you tutored me back when I was in 3rd grade. And I am going to college now, and I swear, if it hadn't been for you, I would have never learned to read, and I would have never thought to have gone to college."
Beth, these are life-changing experiences.
They really are. So many of our older adults that need just a little bit of help to remain independent need help with transportation. And the love notes, the love letters we get from our clients who are served through Provide a Ride, they feel that we are a blessing from heaven, that somebody is willing to share their time and their concern and compassion with them so that they can remain healthy as they age in place. And so many of these folks, they're living on $600 to $700 a month, so they do not have the funds for taxi service. They have to depend on RSVP and volunteers through the Provide a Ride program to enable them to stay healthy and live a good life in their golden years.
You were talking a while ago about people who have retired and find themselves really with nothing to do and not liking it. I know I've seen statistics, you may be able to quote it, But people who retire and don't find something else to really occupy themselves, they don't live very long. They don't have good health. But, I've seen so many seniors who have retired, started a second career, or got involved in volunteering, and it has literally changed their life and made them a brand new person. That's pretty rewarding.
I totally agree, and I see that all the time. We have over 900 volunteers, and I would say, hundreds of them have come to us, and they're thanking the organization where they volunteer. They're thanking RSVP Provide a Ride for providing this opportunity for them to enhance their retirement years and feel good about what they're doing to make the community a better place for all of us.
Beth, I appreciate so much your coming in and giving us a chance to learn a little bit more about the RSVP of Central Oklahoma, becoming involved in doing volunteer work. Once again, let me call your attention to that website, rsvpokc.org. RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program of OKC.org. And that telephone number, 605-3110. Do yourself a favor, do others a favor. Give Beth a call and say, hey, I heard you on the radio. Yes, I've got a car, I've got some time, I'd like to help out. I'd like to get involved. And Beth will make it possible for you. Beth, I appreciate so much your sharing this with us.
Well, it's good to be back in the studio. Thanks so much for the privilege of being up there with the Edmonds Senior Community Foundation, getting a chance to learn a little bit more about that volunteer program. Help us find some of these incredible seniors that you would recommend for us to interview. We've got a phone number, 877-875. Those two are easy to remember, 877-875-0990. Give me a call. Nominate somebody, and let's go out and get a chance to visit with them. I do appreciate so much some of our sponsors. Of course, the number 211, a great place to get a lot of information, and UT Phone Company. They offer these fabulous prices, major discount to seniors for telephone. They're a great organization. I hope you'll give them a call and get in touch with them. Till this time next week, we want you to be kind to one another, say something good to everybody you see, and love somebody, particularly yourself. God bless you. Good to be with you. Bye-bye now.
I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can